Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Mastura, and in this video, along with my three other friends, Atila, Iman, and also Aulia, will be presenting to you about the legacy of the Islamic civilizations, of course, focusing on their contributions to art, architecture, science, literature, and also governance. And we will also be considering about their enduring impact on the contemporary societies. So, for introductions, Islamic civilizations have had an everlasting impact on human history, leaving a legacy that spans continents and millennia. Their contributions have influenced the foundations of many fields, from the golden age of Islamic knowledge, when intellectuals such as Al-Khwarizmi and also Ibn Sina improved mathematics and medicine, to the spectacular architectural wonders of the Alhambra and the Taj Mahal. In literature, works such as Rumi's poetry and 1001 Nights address like universal themes, while the governance systems based on Islamic ideals affected the development of law and administration across civilizations. And of course, this video will dive more into the Islamic civilizations of broad heritage, and also looking at how their innovations in every aspect continue to have an impact on the modern cultures around the world. For the first part, I will be explaining about the art, aesthetic, and architecture of the Islamic art. So basically, Islamic art and architecture actually reflect like a unique blend of faith, culture, and also innovation that spans over 1,400 years, from intricate calligraphy to like a monumental structures. Okay, so these creations symbolize the spiritual and artistic achievements of the Islamic world. So now, let us explore the key aspects from art styles to urban planning and their lasting influence. Next, I will be talking about the decorative arts and miniatures. Islamic art extends beyond religious context into our daily life. Decorative metalwork, ceramics, and also textiles often feature an intricate motif. For example, the Baptistry de Saint-Louis, a 14th century brass basin inlaid with gold and silver, amplifies the skill of Islamic craftsmen's miniature paintings, especially from the Persian, Mughal, and also Ottoman traditions. It also captured historical narratives and also myth. So, renowned artists like Behzad of Herat transformed manuscript into visual masterpiece, influencing book illumination practice worldwide. Thirdly is architectural marvels. Islamic architecture combines functionality with grandeur. Key features includes like domes, of course it's symbolizing heaven as seen in the dome front, minarets used for the call to prayer like those of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, even in Malaysia, Iwan arches, framing entrances prominently featured in Persian mosques like Isfahan's Shah Mosque, and landmarks such as Alhambra and the Taj Mahal also showcase regional diversity while sharing common Islamic design principles. And lastly, the urban planning and also civic spaces. So, Islamic cities often revolve around the mosque as a central spaces, integrating markets, which is also called souks, and public fountains. And also cities like Baghdad were planned as circular hubs, reflecting the harmony among the people, and also it emphasized the accessibility with gardens symbolizing paradise. So, for the conclusion, Islamic art and architecture transcend time and geography, blending innovation with devotion. From miniature paintings to civic urban designs, their influence continues to inspire artists and architects globally. So, these creations not only highlight artistic excellence, but they also narrate the cultural and spiritual ethos of the Islamic world.
The Islamic Golden Age, spanning from the 8th to 14th centuries, was a beacon of intellectual and scientific progress. During this era, Islamic civilization made groundbreaking contributions to fields such as astronomy, mathematics, medicine, chemistry, and optics. These advancements not only preserved the knowledge of ancient civilizations but also laid the foundation for modern science and technology. Firstly, astronomy and mathematics, which is the telescope's foundation. Modern astronomy owes much to the visionary work of Islamic scholars. Among them is Nasr al-Din al-Tusi. Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, 1201 to 1274, born in Tus, Persia, during the Abbasid Caliphate. Al-Tusi revolutionized astronomy through his Tusi couple, a mathematical model that refined planetary motion theories. His work at the Malaga Observatory became a cornerstone for Nicolaus Copernicus's heliocentric model, which reshaped our understanding of the universe. Second is medicine and pharmacy, which is the evolution of vaccines. In the realm of medicine, Islamic scholars like Ibn Sina laid the groundwork for clinical practices and modern vaccinology. Known as Avicenna from 980 to 1037, born near Bukhara under the Samanid Empire, Ibn Sina's Canon of Medicine became a foundational text in both the Islamic world and Europe. It introduced innovative concepts in pharmacology, hygiene, and disease prevention, paving the way for the development of vaccines. From early medical encyclopedias to the creation of mRNA vaccines, the methodologies introduced by the scholar have profoundly influenced how we combat diseases today. Chemistry and optics, which is the birth of the laser. Islamic scholars like Ibn al-Haytham also excelled in chemistry and optics. Ibn al-Haytham from 965 to 1040, born in Basra during the Buyid dynasty and later working in Cairo under the Fatimid Caliphate. Ibn al-Haytham's Kitab al-Manazir, Book of Optics, established him as the father of optics. His experimental work on light, vision, and refraction set the stage for the invention of optical instruments.
Next, literature and philosophy. Islamic civilization has left an indelible mark on world history, particularly through its contribution to literature and philosophy during the Islamic Golden Age, which spanned from the 8th until the 13th centuries. This period was characterized by significant advancement in various fields, driven by a rich intellectual tradition that synthesized knowledge from diverse cultures. In this part, I will divide it into 3 points, which is preservation and translation of classical texts, development of literary form, and integration of Greek philosophy. First, preservation and translation of classical texts. Islamic scholars play a crucial role in preserving and translating ancient texts from Greek, Roman, Persian, Indian, and other civilizations. Scholars were able to translate classical texts into Arabic and Persian because of the establishment of organizations like the House of Wisdom, which is Bait al-Hikmah in Baghdad, which promoted this intellectual interaction. These libraries not only collected texts but also facilitated public access to knowledge through lending system. Through the endeavors, numerous texts were preserved from oblivion and made available for future generations. Second, development of literary forms. The development of numerous genres that include poetry and prose contributed to the flourishing of Islamic literature. For fiction and prose, famous pieces include 1001 Night, which is a collection of stories and folktales from across the Islamic world that highlight the rich storytelling heritage. The storytelling tradition in Islamic societies, particularly in places like Persia, Syria, and Egypt, was a means of conserving their history and cultural knowledge. For poetry, the poetry of authors like Rumi and Al-Mutanabi, who examine spirituality, love, and the human condition, Islamic poets have had a lasting influence on global literary tradition, and Arabic has developed into a medium for deep philosophical discussion and creative expression. Thirdly, integration of Greek philosophy. Islamic philosophy developed as a combination of Islamic theological ideas with Greek philosophical ideas. Aristotelianism and Neoplatonism were addressed by philosophers such as Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina, who modified this concept for use in an Islamic context. They introduced key philosophical concepts like metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics to both the Islamic world and medieval Europe. For instance, Ibn Sina, the Book of Healing, and the Canon of Medicine contributed significantly to both philosophical and medical science. In conclusion, Islamic civilization has left behind significant literary and philosophical contribution. Islamic scholars not only enhanced their own culture but also established the groundwork for future intellectual pursuit in both the East and the West by conserving traditional knowledge and creating new literary forms and philosophical concepts. The interaction of different traditions is still relevant in modern thinking, underscoring the lasting importance of this extraordinary era in human history.
So, in this part, I would like to discuss about the governance and law in the Caliph and their empire buildings. And first of all, the Islamic Caliphs were a series of empires that emerged after the death of the Prophet Muhammad SAW in the 7th century. These empires were united by a shared faith, Islam, and were led by a Caliph who was considered the successor to the Prophet. The Caliphs played a significant role in shaping the history in the Middle East, North Africa, and the Europe. And about the Abbasid Caliph that was established from the 715 until 1215 ACE, the Abbasid kingdom lasts for more than 500 years with 39 caliphs, which spanned 4 distinct eras. During this time, the Muslim world was facing a great number of changes. After the fall of the Umayyad Empire in 132 Hijriah, the Abbasid house, the Prophet Muhammad SAW uncle, came into power. The influence of the Persians and the Turks changed the political and cultural arena of the Abbasid Empire. The Arabs themselves were summoned to decline from their high stature, which was prevalent in the Umayyad region, and betrayed the secondary citizens. Of course, this led to a power struggle between the Turks and Persians that eventually led to outside forces strengthening the empire, namely the Crusaders and the Mongol invasion. However, there were great advancements in worldly and Islamic knowledge during the Abbasid dynasty. And the Abbasid Empire was a melting pot of the cultures, with influences from Persia, Central Asia, and other regions. These cultural fusions enriched Islamic art, architecture, and literature. Baghdad became a cosmopolitan city, attracting people from diverse backgrounds and fostering intellectual exchange. Empires have risen and fallen, leaving lasting impact on the world political, cultural, and economic landscape. The Abbasid also developed new architectural forms and features such as minarets, muqarrans, stucco decorations. So, that is the discussion about the Abbasid Caliph and the empire buildings of the Abbasid. So now I would like to discuss about the legal system and Sharia law, especially in the Abbasid era. During the Abbasid era, a system of government was built. Of course, it could not be spared completely from the joints built by the previous empire. In their propaganda, they want to uphold justice based on equality of rights, restore the condition of the Muslims as in the time of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, because the Umayyad considered them to have defied. Likewise, Muslims are very hopeful about the big changes made by the Abbasid. The Abbasid Empire had a well-organized court system. There is two qadis, the judges who preside over courts and apply Islamic law to resolve disputes. They were appointed by the caliph or local governors. And second, mazalim courts. These special courts that dealt with grievances against government officials and other powerful individuals. These courts provide a check on the abuse of power. While Islamic law was the primary legal framework, some pre-Islamic laws and customs continue to be practiced, particularly in regions that have been recently conquered. The Abbasid generally allowed local customs to persist as long as they did not contradict Islam principles.
The Islamic Golden Age brought groundbreaking achievements in art, sciences, literature, and governance. Its intricate art and architecture, scientific innovations, classical literature, and strong legal system shapes history and continue to inspire the modern world.